reach that goal. We know both what we want and how we want it to happen. And Jesus knows exactly what this man wants. He wants his son to be healed. And Jesus also knows how this man thinks this is going to happen by bringing Jesus to his home. But ultimately, Jesus knows the best way on how to heal the son. And he does. He heals him. He saves him from death. He heals him with just one word. But even when Jesus does not come down as the man requested, he still trusts what Jesus says, and he believes that he will do what he says he'll do. And this is great faith, to leave behind what is sick in our lives in order to get to Jesus, and then to trust him to heal, even when he doesn't do it our way. Just because Jesus will fulfill our requests, it doesn't mean that he will do it in the way we expect him to. We all have things that we ask the Lord for, and that's good and right, and we should. We ask for healing, guidance, direction, knowledge, a job, a marriage, children, a home. The list goes on and on and on. We have a way that we expect these things to come about. If I'm looking for a job, I make a list of things I want the job to offer me. And then I look up what requirements one must meet in order to attain a job like that. So I make a plan of all of the things that I have to achieve in order to apply for the job. And once I achieve these things, then the job will open up and I'll apply for it. And then I'll be offered the job, and then check, all will work out. So I come before Jesus and I say, Jesus, please help me get this job. But I already have a plan, and I expect Jesus to just sign off on the plan and say, yep, that sounds good, you go for it. But what if Jesus has something better? If I want a relationship with a loved one to be restored, I will plan out the next time I see them, I will say this, and this, and they will respond this way, and then everything will be fine and all will be restored. So Jesus, please fix this relationship for me in the way that I have already expected it to happen. But what if Jesus has something better? John tells us that once Jesus says, go, your son will live, the man believed and departed. He obeyed the words that Jesus spoke to him. And we don't know how this man looked or appeared as he was walking the 12 hours back to his home. But I imagine he's walking as fast as he can, so desperate now in the other direction to see how his son is. Perhaps he's feeling let down that Jesus is not with him, because in his mind he would have been making this journey back with Jesus. Perhaps he questioned all the way back, how is this going to happen? How is this going to be made right? Playing out every situation. Maybe I'll meet a doctor along the way. Or maybe somehow Jesus has already arrived at my home and he's there waiting for me. Whatever he's feeling, if there's any disappointment, any confusion, we then read the moment where any of that would just melt away. For as he was still going down, before he reached his home, his servants met him and told him that his boy was alive. And because he believed the words that Jesus said to him, he asks, what time? When did this happen? And when they tell him, the father realizes that that was the exact moment that Jesus said, go, your son will live. Sometimes it's easier to see God's faithfulness after the fact. But what a beautiful moment it is when we realize that what Jesus said would happen did in fact happen. And it's right here where John adds, so he himself believed. This isn't the first time, though, that John said that this man believed, because when Jesus said, go, your son will live, it says, and the man believed and departed. But this kind of belief is different. It's no longer belief in just the words that Jesus says, but in the person that Jesus is. We can believe what Jesus says is true, but how much more do we believe him when we experience his faithfulness? And the last key that stuck out to me is in that last part of verse 53. It says, "So he himself believed, and then along with his whole household." Our testimonies of what Jesus does for us is not meant to be kept a secret, but to be shared to encourage others in celebrating who he is and what he has done. And we all know the power of testimony. We know the movies, the songs, the books that inspire our faith because we love to hear how God is working for others. If he did it for them, he can do it for me. If she can see God's faithfulness in her life, then so can I. If God answered his prayers in miraculous ways, then he can answer mine that way too. Sharing our stories of who God is to us can be what someone needs to hear in their season of life. At the church that I used to work at here in the States, we did a whole series called God at Work, where we interviewed multiple people in the church to just tell us the stories, tell us what God has done in your life. And once we hear those stories, we're encouraged to share our own. We feel brave enough to stand up and say, "Me too, I have a story too." But rather than waiting for someone else to start the conversation, may we be the people who are unashamed and unafraid to tell people in our lives what God has done. That is how we are his witnesses. And this is how we bring these close encounters that we have with Jesus to someone else. How many people in your life are waiting on you to share your testimony? How many people does God want to speak to through what he has already done for you? Because of what Jesus did for this royal official, he himself, along with his whole household, believed not just what Jesus said, but who he is. And just as the man shared his story, we can share ours. So in this close encounter, we see that sometimes we have to lay down what is sick and leave it behind so that we can get to Jesus. We see that although we come with a plan and with certain expectations on how we want things to happen, that Jesus does not want to fulfill our plans, but he wants to fulfill the Father's perfect will. And we see that God will use our close encounters with him to reach those around us. So today, I want to encourage you to think about those things that you need to lay down. What do you need Jesus to heal and restore? And are you willing to surrender that to him in order for him to work and fix it? I want you to think about the plans and expectations that you have for the ways you think Jesus will work in your life. Can you trust that his promises are true? Can you trust that what he says he will do even when it doesn't align with your plans and your expectations? You see, a lot of times in our disappointment, we are frustrated and we say, "God, where are you in this?" because we expect him in these places. But instead of saying, "Where are you in this?" or "Why didn't you work here?" look around and see where God is working in that situation. Because we can be sure that he is always with us and he is for us. And finally, we leave today looking around at the people who God has placed in our lives. And we ask the Holy Spirit to give us courage as we share our testimonies with others, praying that the Lord uses what he has done for us in order to bring others into the family of God. We don't like to be put in desperate situations. And just like I didn't know the full picture of what was happening that night in Lithuania with the fireworks, we don't always know the full picture. But we can trust the God who is above all of it. He knows the whole picture. He has the control. He has the answers and the ability to fix it. Our desperation is an opportunity for great faith. I've heard it said that if dependence on Jesus is the goal, then our weakness is our advantage. Because it's in our weakness that we see just how great and just how powerful the Lord is. May we turn to Jesus before clinging to what is sick. May we be willing to follow his instructions even when they don't follow our expectations. And may we be able to share our stories with those around us. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that you are encouraged and challenged by this word. If you would like more content like this, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time. God bless you.